KPG C10 Hakosuka. The first GTR was not originally a Nissan. It began as a Prince Skyline built by a small independent automaker that Nissan absorbed in 1966. The name Hakosuka combines the Japanese word for box and the first syllables of Skyline. The engine was the S20, a 2-liter inline-six with dual overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder, derived directly from the R380 race car that had beaten Porsche at Fuji. It made 160 horsepower in a car that weighed just 1,100 kilos. The GTR won 49 consecutive races in Japanese touring car competition between 1969 and 1972 with 50 wins total. That streak was only broken when Mazda's rotary-powered RX-3 finally beat it. The base Skyline cost around $1,500. The GTR cost nearly 3 times that. Only 1,945 were produced across sedan and coupe versions. The coupe is the one collectors want. Clean examples now sell for over $250,000 and almost none exist outside Japan. KPG 110 Kenmeri. The Kenmeri was named after a fictional couple, Ken and Mary, featured in Nissan's television advertisements showing 2 young people driving through the Hokkaido countryside. Nissan introduced the KPG 110 at the 1972 Tokyo Motor Show alongside a fully liveried racing version wearing the number 73, signaling their intention to continue dominating touring car racing. The oil crisis of 1973 killed those plans overnight. Production lasted only from January to April of that year. Just 197 were built. The car used the same S20 engine as the Hakosuka, with minor improvements to the suspension and brakes. It never raced a single official event. The Kenmeri is the rarest GTR ever produced and one of the rarest Japanese performance cars in existence. Values have exceeded $500,000 for verified examples. For 16 years after the Kenmeri, the GTR name disappeared entirely. Most people assumed it was dead. R32. The R32 resurrected the GTR in 1989 and changed everything. Nissan built it around the RB26 DETT, a 2.6-liter twin-turbo inline-six with an iron block, and forged internals that was engineered for endurance racing from day one. Officially, it made 276 horsepower because of a gentleman's agreement between Japanese manufacturers, but the real output was closer to 320. The Atessa ETS all-wheel drive system used accelerometers under the center console to read lateral and longitudinal forces and distribute torque to the front wheels electronically. It also had rear-wheel steering. The R32 won all 29 races it entered in the Japanese Touring Car Championship, taking the title every year from 1990 to 1993. Its dominance was so absolute that the series collapsed and the formula was scrapped. In Australia, the R32 ended the reign of the Ford Sierra Cosworth at Bathurst and won the championship in 1991 and 1992. The Australian press called it Godzilla because it was a monster from Japan, and the nickname stuck to every GTR that followed. Regulations were rewritten specifically to exclude it. The R32 proved that a Japanese sedan with a turbocharged 6 could humiliate purpose-built European race cars on their own tracks, and it made the entire world take Japan seriously as a performance car nation. R33. The R33 was 15% more of everything. More boost, more torque, more tire, more spring, more grip, more rigidity. The RB26 Det was carried over with improved turbo aerodynamics and a ball-bearing turbocharger core. Brembo brakes became standard for the first time. Nissan sent an R33 to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and it lapped in 7 minutes 59 seconds, making it the first production car in history to break the 8-minute barrier. The R33 was bigger and heavier than the R32, and some enthusiasts dismissed it as soft. They were wrong. The Nismo 400R used a 2.8-liter version of the RB26, tuned with technology from Nissan's Le Mans program, making 400 horsepower through a Getrag 6-speed gearbox. Only 44 were ever built. A 400R sold at auction for $880,000 in 2023. The R33 never dominated racing the way the R32 did because regulations had been specifically designed to prevent any GTR from doing that again. R34. The R34 is the most desired JDM car on Earth. Nissan made it shorter, wider, stiffer, and lighter than the R33. The RB26 Det returned with its final evolution. A multifunction display built into the dashboard showed boost pressure, oil temperature, and turbo performance in real time, a feature that was years ahead of any competitor. The Getrag 6-speed manual gearbox was exclusive to the R34 GTR. Paul Walker drove a Bayside Blue R34 in Too Fast Too Furious. Nissan could not legally import the car to America, so they shipped it without an engine, registered it as a kit car, and installed the RB26 once it arrived in California. The Nur Edition was the farewell model with 1,000 hand-built engines and gold valve covers instead of the standard red. Under the 25-year import rule in the United States, the earliest R34s only became legal to import in 2024. Before the rule opened, clean examples were selling for $150,000. After the rule opened, prices kept climbing because demand from American buyers was far greater than anyone predicted. R35. The R35 dropped the Skyline name entirely. It was just GTR. The VR38 Det was a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6, the first GTR engine that was not an inline-six. The car launched in 2007 and was faster around the Nürburgring than a Porsche 911 Turbo that cost twice as much. Motor One wrote that the gap between the R34 and R35 was so large that the R35 tripled or even quadrupled the distance from every previous GTR. The Atesa system evolved into a transaxle layout with an independent rear-mounted 6-speed, dual-clutch gearbox connected to the engine by a carbon fiber torque tube, giving near-perfect weight distribution. Nissan kept updating the R35 for 17 consecutive years, raising power from 480 to over 600 horsepower in the Nismo version, without ever fully redesigning the car. It was produced longer than any GTR generation in history. The final R35s rolled off the line in 2024, ending an era. Nissan has not confirmed what comes next. The GTR might return as an electrified car, or it might not return at all. What is certain is that no other Japanese car has ever earned a monster's name and spent 55 years proving it deserved one.